Backyard barbecue. Does it get any better? I have noticed through comments on my channel and other people's channels, there is a lot of new people out there that's really showing an interest in barbecue, and they're wanting to up their game. And that's what this video is all about. It's simplicity at its best. I'm going to show you in this video how to produce some fantastic ribs. We're talking about spare pork ribs, and we're going to do it on some simple equipment and expensive equipment. We're going to have superior results. A lot of you have been following me for around 6 years, a little over 6 years. Y'all have seen me go through a lot of different smokers doing ribs and other things as well, from my offset, my insulated mini, my ceramic cookers, barrel smokers, you name it. I mean, I have cooked on a lot of different things, but today we're bringing it back to basics. We're going to do this on a Weber kettle with Adrenaline Barbecue slow and sear. Results are going to be fantastic. Stick around and we'll get started right after this. It really don't get more basic than a Weber kettle. I don't know the numbers or the facts on this, but I would venture to say that there are more people owns a Weber 22.5 than any other grill smoker on the market, and this is an ideal smoker to begin with. I mean, I still use mine religiously. Most of y'all know that I have a big offset, nice offset. I have the insulated mini. I've had ceramic grills. I've had and do have all kind of smokers, but this video is all about basics. So we're going with a Weber, and if you notice here, this is a Weber accessory that I also use because the results that you get from this is going to be very similar to like a Kamado style cooker. This is your charcoal basket. Now there's a few advantages to this. First off, you get about 6 to 7 hours burn time. I'm going to start with 12 briquettes, but once I get these lit, I'm going to go ahead and fill this basket up. This is a lot less charcoal than what you would use in a snake method for the same results. But the beauty of it is this is a water trough, and it creates true two-zone cooking, and that's what's going to give you the good results. You're not going to have to be flipping back and forth, flipping your meat, turning your meat. It's going to have more of a convection type cook. So I would highly recommend, along with a kettle, that you would look at this accessory. David, I know David, he's been to my house. We've done a video together. He didn't even know I'm doing this video. I'm not being paid by David to say this. This is my honest belief in the slow and sear. So it's worth taking a look at. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and light this up. And for the record, I'm not being sponsored by Weber either. These are just products that I truly believe in. You're gonna see the results today firsthand. The 12 briquettes that I added earlier, they're starting good enough for me to go ahead and add more charcoal into this slow and sear. We'll take and level these out. Very similar to the snake method or minion method. Coals are starting here. They're going to burn up and they're going to burn out over the next 7 hours. Now we're going on with the grate. Now I want to be able to monitor this, so I'm using my Maverick XR50 just for the grate temp. We're going to go in through one of the top vent holes on the Weber kettle. We're going to fish it through. I had the lower vent on the Weber kettle set to about 1/3 open. I had the top vent on the Weber kettle set to about 1/3 open. So I'm going to sit here and monitor this, but meantime, I'm going to get the ribs. We're going to pull the membrane. We're going to apply a rub. Beautiful pork spare ribs. These came from Matador Prime Steak Company, and I should have known this already. I just took them out of the cryovac, and guess what? No membrane. He's already removed the membrane and have trimmed these up very well. So if you have never removed the membrane, for all you newbies out there, new to the barbecue world, then there's plenty of videos on it. I have some as well. I'm going to be doing each one of these two different ways. I mean, they're getting the same rub, they're going to be cooked the same, but one will not be sauced, the other will be sauced. The one without the sauce is referred to as dry ribs. The one with the sauce is referred to as wet ribs. I'm not using a binder of any kind today. I do use mustard quite a bit on any pork. Mustard is high in water. It has vinegar, which I always thought helped make it penetrate the meat somewhat. I'm talking about the seasoning. Help penetrate somewhat, and I always thought it could aid in the development of a nice bark, but today I'm going very simple. This is a very basic barbecue, so I'm going on just as is. These are wet, and the salt in this rub will pull out more moisture and set this rub up. So we're just going to put a generous amount on both sides. Now, speaking of membrane, you might ask yourself, why do you remove the membrane? A lot of people don't. Well, here's my view on that. If the membrane is left intact, it acts as a barrier, which is going to stop fat from rendering through as easily. That's one disadvantage of the membrane. Another disadvantage is once I season the other side, it's going to prevent seasonings from penetrating the back side of the ribs. And also, as they heat up and cook, the membrane will shrink up much more than what the meat will, and it can make them look deformed. It can bow out and give you ununiform looking ribs. They'll lay good and flat if you go ahead and remove the membrane. It only takes a second. I kind of wish I could have showed you that today. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the back side of these seasoned up. I'm gonna take a look at the pit, the temperature, and see if we're ready to go on or not. I'm gonna flip these back over, and right before I go on, you're going to notice how all this really gets wet, and that's what you're wanting. That means the rub is doing its job. Going just a little bit more. All right, we're gonna hold there. All right, let's talk about rubs. Rubs is something that you're going to develop a taste for over time. I'm talking about different brands, different flavors. I try a lot of different rubs. I have found some really good ones that I've liked over the 6 years of doing this. I've also concocted a lot of my own. So today what I'm using is the Mississippi Grind. That's becoming one of my favorites for pork. Heaven Made Products, they have a whole line of some fantastic rubs as well. I've used a lot of different rubs, and just experiment, try different things, and from time to time you're going to find one that you really connect with, and experiment building your own, making your own. Try sauces, same thing, a lot of fun when you get into doing that. All right, I was showing 225 degrees pit temperature. I'm going to try to dial this in to around 250, and all I'm doing now is adding some wood chunks. These are actually chunks from the Jack Daniel's barrels that they age the whiskey in. We'll probably add 1 or 2 more of those as we need it. Now we're going to lay our ribs in. And our other rack. Put our lid on, let our heat come back to temperature. Probably take a peek in this in about 1.5 hours. All right, it has been 20 minutes since I put that lid on. I want to show you where I'm leveled off. It's bouncing between 248 and 250. Hope you can see that. It's a little shady under here. I'm catching a strong south wind, and every time it hits the side of this kettle, I'm noticing a little temperature drop. It's not much, it's just a few degrees and it comes right back up, but I'm holding good. All right, now one thing I want to tell all you newbies, all you people that's brand new into the barbecue world is temperatures. Don't obsess about your temperatures on any pit. I don't care if it's a Weber or if it's my Lone Star Grill's offset, you're going to have temperature swings. As long as you can stay in a range. For pork, low or slow, that range could be from 225 to 275, and some people do them even higher than that, 300, 325. So don't obsess over it. Your meat's going to turn out fine. Pork is a very forgiving meat, has a very high fat content, so therefore it's not much affected by, unless you get extreme with it. But those are your variables for low and slow, 225 to 275. If you can keep it in that 50-degree swing, you're doing good. Your meat's gonna turn out great. All right, while we're on the subject of thermometers and temperatures, on most kettles you have a built-in thermometer of some sort. Some are very questionable, some are better than others. Some you can actually go in there and calibrate, such as on my Lone Star Grills smokers. Both of them have calibratable thermometers, and I really don't depend. That's just something for me to kind of look at and tell about where I'm at. I go by digital thermometers because they're plus minus 1 degree. They're very accurate. Plus you can get it down there on the grate level. If you take a look at the one on the Weber Kettle, that is directly above the slow and sear. All that intense heat is coming straight up before it turns and curves and goes over. So it's catching a lot more heat there than what the meat actually is down at grate level. So be aware of that. Do not get dependent on those type thermometers. They'll mess you up big time. I've been going about an hour and a half. Let's take a look at these ribs and see what we got. These are looking fantastic, starting to get some color on them. And if you notice, I'm starting to get a little char over here on the opposite end of the fire. That's the power of this water reservoir. It's still holding a good amount of water. It's producing steam, keeping everything moist. As you can see, these ribs are not dried out at all. Now I will start spritzing these at whatever time I think I need to. Right now they're looking good. Maybe another 45 minutes I'll have another look. If they start getting more of a dry surface on them, actually they're a little bit dry here. Let's try a little spritz right here. Now a lot of people use just straight up apple juice. I've got other videos showing my favorite, which is an apple juice and bourbon combination 50-50. That's not what this is. This is actually something I'm trying for the first time. And if I'm successful, if it gives it the flavor profile that I'm thinking it will, then I'll let everyone know in another video what I'm using. All right, I'm going to wrap these ribs. They have a nice color on them, as you can see. And I don't always wrap. It just all depends. It really depends on what I'm cooking on as well. But I could have let these keep rocking. If you could tell, they had a pretty good bend to them. And this is one way you can tell when ribs are getting about done. They're not there yet, but they're getting there. There's really no pull back yet, but there will be. I'm just going to simply take and put some more of this spritz on here. We're going to put some down the bag. And basically, you're kind of steaming them to make them hurry up and get tender, but you want them really tight to where they're not really steaming as we think of steaming. But it will definitely accelerate the cooking time, plus it will help preserve the color that we've developed. Now I am double wrapping these. Now some of you new to this, and I know all the guys that's been doing this for a long time has heard of the 3-2-1 method. That is not what we're doing here. I have never had the 3-2-1 work out for me. 3-2-1 means that you cook them naked, you know, without being wrapped for 3 hours. You wrap them, cook them for 2 hours, you unwrap them and go another hour. What I have found out, if you wrap these for 2 hours, you're going to end up with some mushy meat disintegrating off the bones. It has never worked out for me. So I do a short wrap, usually around an hour. And so you know I have been going 2.5 hours. Then we're going to go an hour, then another half hour. And these should be done. Roughly 4.5 hours using this technique right here. Now one thing I want to add to these are going to be the dry ribs. I'm going to add a little bit more seasoning. I didn't do it on the other rack simply because that will be getting the sauce. Both racks are wrapped, both racks are put back into the Weber. I'm still running about the same temps. Smoke cannot get to them no more because of the wrap, and they're just going to sit there and cook. Like I said, the foil accelerates the cooking time, and I would encourage you to try both, wrapped and unwrapped. I personally go unwrapped most of the time, but I'm kind of under a time restraint today because it's going to get dark here around 7:30, and these are going to come off at 6. It's 5 o'clock now, 1 hour, they will come off, and from there they're going to have to go at least another 15-20 minutes. So we should beat the sun going down. That's the sole purpose of wrapping these today. But keep in mind, you can do them either way. Fantastic results either way. Wrapping just accelerates it. Let's reveal this and see what they're looking like. Do a little probe in here to see how tender they are. Woohoo, boy, yes sir. Now you're starting to get that pull back on your bones. All right, I'm not checking for temperature, I'm strictly checking for tenderness. And yes sir, I'm gonna go right back on with these. Unwrap, back on the Weber kettle. I'm saying 30, 40 minutes tops is going to really finish these off. All I'm really wanting to do is just kind of dry out that surface a little, but yet keep the moisture inside the rib. You just want to get that bark dried out a little bit. Now, once I see that I've achieved that, because they're tender enough now, I don't want to go no more tender, not much, because if I go much more, they're just going to fall off the bones. I don't want them that tender. I still want to be able to have a bone, you know, intact. Now, the rack that I'm saucing, I will sauce them probably 15 minutes prior to pulling both racks off. So I'll bring you back for that, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes probably. I hope all of you that are new to barbecue are picking up on some of the tips I'm showing you here, such as me probing the ribs a few minutes ago. Probing is always better than going by internal temperature. Internal temperature gets you in the ballpark, gets you in that range. You know you're getting close. But it really depends on the cut of meat, how much marbling it's got, as to when it's going to just completely fall apart. Some will do it at a lower temperature than others that don't have as much marbling. So it is really critical that you probe your meat. And this is transferable into beef, brisket, chuck roast, anything you do as far as low and slow, you want to use that technique always. Probing over internal temp. You want to monitor your internal temp, especially on large cuts. But like I said, that's just a guideline. All right, I've been going 20 minutes since you seen me last. Let's take a look at these. Woohoo, looking good. All right, now, as I said, we're gonna sauce this. Now, this is a sauce that Matt from Matador Prime Steak Company sent. It's called Uncle Fox. I smelt of this and it smells fantastic. It also says sweet and spicy, so I'm thinking there's a little kick on this as well. Now we're just gonna sauce this one rack. It's nice and thin. This would make a fantastic glaze. All I'm gonna do is put the lid on. We're gonna let this set maybe 15 minutes. We're gonna pull them off. We're gonna let them rest. We're gonna check them out. Like any other meat, this has to rest. So I'm just taking some foil, and all I'm gonna do is just lay it across them. We're just gonna weight this down to stop the wind from blowing it off. That should be good. We're gonna let these sit roughly 5-10 minutes. All right, I am cutting into these ribs. That is the dry rib. Put these back over. This is the sauced. I'm gonna do a quick taste test. I'm gonna cut the remainder of these up, put them in a pan, cover it. We're gonna go inside and we're gonna eat. I'm gonna try this sauce version first. Let me see if I can get you in there. Got a little smoke ring. Very moist. Can you see that glistening? Lots of juice in there. This is the telltale right here. Perfect, perfect tenderness. Oh man, now I have to go through a roll of these paper towels for those. That was fantastic. All right, let's try the dry rib. Oh man, that sauce is killer. All right, let me see if I can get you in on the dry rib. Very nice color. Got your little smoke ring there. And once again, you got plenty of moisture. That is textbook pork ribs right there. Here we go. There is absolutely nothing I don't like about that. Very happy with the outcome of this, and I hope some of you newbies, people new to barbecue, you can get the same results. It's very easy. I did it on a Weber kettle. I did utilize the addition of the slow and sear, and as you can see, amazing results. You got to try it to know what I'm talking about, and I hope you do. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will give y'all, maybe I'll give y'all that spritz that I use at some point in time. That's fantastic. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, Smoky Ribs. Man. All right, let's go eat.